How do you know
How
if?
do you know
How do you
if?
know if?
How do you know it?
How do you know
How do
if?
you know?
How do you know if?
How do you know if I have Asperger's?
Did you know as Brett was growing up that he was a little different mentally?
Yes. The day he was born, he stayed in my room, and I asked the doctor the next day, I think there's something wrong with him. And he said, no, he scored 9 on the APGAR. And I said, I know, but I've been watching him all night, and it's like he's not comfortable in his own skin. I mean, he was like tossing and turning and just not at peace.
The thing about an Asperger's kid is their symptoms will change, and how the syndrome manifests itself changes with his age. So at first we just thought he was hyperactive, attention deficit, that kind of thing. And he was for a while, but then he kind of grew out of that. When he got to high school, I had him in an algebra class, and I always required my students to take notes, and he would sit right up front. But instead of taking notes, he was always drawing. And one time I challenged him on it, and I said, Brett, you're not taking any notes. He said, I know exactly what you said. So I challenged him. I said, what did I just say? And he just spit it back at me. And that's when I really figured out that Brett is an auditory. He can learn auditorily. And so we never really knew how he was going to manifest himself, either as a young person or an adult or in school. It was always kind of a potpourri with him. Just never knew what we were going to get.
Shoot! Will you shoot the ball? Brett, look, shoot it up there. Okay, shoot. No, throw it.
You don't always understand. Probably one of the most difficult things about growing up with Brett, and after we found out that he had Asperger's, is that it's a condition that prevents him to pick up on social cues. So the question is that when he was being disobedient, did he just not get it? Did he not understand? Or was it more purposeful? Was it a purposeful act of rebellion? You know, that was the tough part, is he not behaving because he can't or because he won't? And I think once you understand that there's not always a time where he can, you tend to give a little bit of more patience, a little bit more grace, a little bit more forgiveness.
I was not very well behaved, and my parents have told me stories. You can even see it in my home movies. You can tell that I'm different. I was different when I was younger, and I had to be treated different.
They lack the peer interaction. They can't, they have difficulty articulating the cues, social cues that other peers have, and that's what keeps them from building social peers. Most misconception is that they can't really relate to people, and in fact they can. You know, if they teach them how to relate to their peers, they could be productive as members of society. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
I like when he surprises me. When all of a sudden, like he'll come out and reach for my hand, or he'll come out and say something really sweet, or he'll do something for me. Because I know, like, in general that's really sweet, but for him to reach out of his world and realize, oh yeah, wife's there, it's a big thing too. So, like when he said he was going to make dinner, like, that was big. He was actually considering me. Usually he does. Sometimes I get mad at him. But when he does, I realize like how much more special that is, because I've been included in his world.
To this day, I still have trouble expressing my feelings towards my wife. Me and my dad are a lot alike in that way. Like, we're not cuddlers, we're not talkers. We're very quiet, and we sit in the corner, and occasionally we'll make jokes. We watch TV. We're generally very quiet. It doesn't mean I don't love her or anything like that. It's just how I deal. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not a very affectionate person. And yeah, that may be Asperger's, it may not be.
What would you tell people that necessarily don't believe that Asperger's is real condition?
Yeah, well, I'm a believer. You know, I've lived with this person now, known him for 30 years. And I've known some other kids. I've had some other students and athletes that have Asperger's, and I can see some similarities and common things between my son and them. So it's not a myth. It's well documented now. I think when Asperger's was starting to get some publicity, it's just about the time that Brett was diagnosed.
It's a real thing, and you have to treat people with Asperger's not necessarily different, but you have to understand what they're going through. You need to be understanding that it's a chemical imbalance is what it is.
There were times when Brett would spend a night out, he'd be over at a friend's house for a sleepover, and we would just have the other two, and we were a normal family. I don't think you could ever say we were a real normal family when Brett was around, or at least seldom. And not that it was always bad, it was just different and quieter and a little more relaxing at times. What I would say to Brett is simply that you're a lot tougher than you think you are. Brett's always been afraid to try new things. Whenever he had to change job or get a new job, he was always a little bit scared. He was afraid he'd screw up. He's afraid he couldn't learn new things. My message is you can.
I've a tremendous amount of respect for you. You probably don't even know that. But I think, see, most people that just meet you right now or know you right now, they may think, all right, he's got a strange sense of humor, but really nothing more than that. Or at least I don't think nothing more than that. But to see where you've come, I saw how bad it was when we were growing up. I saw my mom and my dad crying over trying to discipline you, trying to figure you out, what to do, how that affected our entire family. It was difficult.
If I have any regrets as a father, it's that I was never able to get him to understand that you can do anything that you put your mind to.
And he's a sweet guy and has a great heart. I love him.
I know I'm not easy to live with. I'm not easy to talk to sometimes. Just thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And hopefully one day I'll be able to repay that.
But you have to remember, people are like books. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we don't know on what page he's at right now, developmentally, but we're not to the end of the book yet. So there's still a lot of excitement left.